And our next guest is Republican Congressman from Arizona and Border Security Caucus Chair, Andy Biggs. Congressman Biggs, good to see you. And thanks so much for taking the time here. I'm going to talk to you about the border, but obviously I've got to circle back to this the major story, this leak from the Supreme Court on Roe v. Wade, the political overturning of it, as published by Politico. Again, it wasn't a decision that was leaked. It was a 98-page opinion by the majority opinion of Justice Alito. Your thoughts on that news, sir?
Yeah, I mean, this is a draft that would be circulated amongst all the justices because you're going to have people dissenting. They're going to be writing based on that draft. There'll be corrections made. There'd be extensions, et cetera. What this leak does, though, it undermines the collegiality and trust within the body itself, the Supreme Court itself. But more than that, I believe this was done by a leftist who wanted to, who was working in the Supreme Court, who wanted to change the outcome here. So they were actively trying to foment and incite a rioting and civil disorder to put pressure on and intimidate these justices, perhaps change that. But the most important thing is they're also going to use this, the leftists in the Senate, to try to change the filibuster rule. They're going to argue that they need to change that filibuster rule so they can pack the court. And also this gives them something that they can argue about for the midterm election. So this is a pretty dangerous precedent, unknown in the history of this country. And but this leaking that continues to happen, whether it's DOJ and these other institutions, undermines the trust that Americans have in our institutions. Minority Leader Mitch McConnell here put out a statement 22 minutes ago saying last night's stunning breach was an attack on the independence of the Supreme Court. By every indication, this was yet another escalation in the radical left's ongoing campaign to bully and intimidate federal judges and substitute mob rule for the rule of law. Do you agree with that opinion from McConnell? And also, do you think that this would pressure these justices to perhaps change their opinions, or would it strengthen the court's decision so far? So I do agree that this is an attempt to intimidate the justices. I mean, don't forget Chuck Schumer said not too long ago, a year or so ago, that we will remember what you do, and basically threatened the Supreme Court justices. I don't think these justices, though, will be intimidated, although they have expressed concern about, Chief Justice Roberts has expressed concern about rioting and civil disorder based on their rulings, and they don't like to see that. But the reality is their job, and I think they'll adhere to it, is to follow the Constitution, and in my opinion, you're going to probably get the right ruling here. Final thoughts, back to the border, the numbers that were just released here. I know this is something you've been on top of, and we've seen you question Mayorkas on this many times. Your America First contract, there are 8 policy pillars within it as we look here, on top of this number of 210,000 border apprehensions in the month of April. Talk to me about these pillars and your final thoughts on seeing these numbers continue to be 200,000 plus. Well, make no mistake, this is purposeful on the part of the Biden administration. They campaigned on an open border. This is what an open border looks like. There are things we could do right now to shut this down. Title 42 has to remain in place. We need to restore the Remain in Mexico policy and make it work. This administration is doing, like, I think the number is 190 in the last 3 months or so, when we used to do a couple thousand a day to keep people out, and removing people from the country who are here illegally, especially those the million-plus people who have removal orders. What that does is it disincentivizes people to come here, and we need to make sure we have adequate personnel on the border as well. That's wrapped up in the pillar on border security, and that's what Americans want right now. We want border security. All right, we'll leave it right there. Congressman Andy Biggs joining us of Arizona. Congressman, good to see you, and thank you for your time, sir.